Good morning. This is the time and place for zoning case hearing, April 26, 2017. My name is Bradley Collin. I will be conducting the hearing as a hearing officer. We have one case scheduled for today, and the relevant exhibits are posted on the panel located directly behind me. If you wish to speak, please write your name and address on one of the green speaker forms, which have been provided by the front door, and submit it to our staff. I'd also like to inform everyone that the official proceedings of the planning hearing officer's hearing are recorded as part of the public record. Notification of this hearing was accomplished by the use of public notices, which were mailed to property owners and occupants located within 500 feet of the subject property, physically posted on the site in question, and placed in the local newspaper. The hearing will proceed as follows. I'll read the description of the application request. The case planner will then make a brief overview of the case, give an analysis, and make a recommendation. The applicant will then be asked to come forward, stating both name and address, and will be asked to present a case within a 15-minute time limit. Others in support of or in opposition to the application and interested parties will be asked to come forward to speak, again, clearly stating name and address, with a 3-minute time limit. Lastly, the applicant will be given the opportunity, if necessary, to make closing comments in response to any testimonies given by preceding speakers, and that will be a 5-minute time limit. The hearing will be closed. The case will either be taken under submission or a decision may be made. The case that we have today is an application for variances to install certain signs related to parking at the Glendale Galleria, which do not comply with the city sign regulations. The project's located in the DSP Glendale Galleria, or the Galleria District Zone. If evidence presented in the application and at the hearing meets the required findings, then the hearing officer can either approve or impose conditions for approval on the case in question. If the findings of fact are not evident, then the request will be denied. At this point, I'd like to ask for our case planner, please, to give us a presentation.
Sure. All right. Good morning, Mr. Collin. The Glendale Galleria is requesting variances to install certain projecting directional and informational signs related to parking at the Glendale Galleria, which do not comply with the city sign regulations. There are actually 7 variances requested. The first one is to allow projecting signs to direct patrons to available parking spaces and not Galleria-located businesses. And our code states that projecting signs are required to advertise the business to which they are directly adjacent. The second variance is to allow projecting signs to be 24 square feet in area and 145 square feet in area. And the area of projecting signs in our code shall not exceed 12 square feet in the downtown specific plan zone. The third variance is to allow 22-inch thick and 27-inch thick projecting signs, and our code allows maximum thickness of projecting signs not to exceed 12 inches. The fourth variance is to allow directional signs to exceed 1 square foot of sign area per lineal foot of driveway width. The directional signs proposed vary in size depending on the width of the driveway, but they're all over the 1-for-1 maximum square footage. The fifth variance is to allow informational signs to be 37 square feet in area, and the code allows informational signs not to exceed 4 square feet in area. The sixth variance is to allow informational signs to be 6.5 feet in height above the ground surface, and our code allows informational signs not to extend more than 3 feet above the code surface. And then finally, the Galleria is requesting to be allowed animated projecting and informational signs and those types of signs, animated signs, are typically not allowed in the code for the most part. So all the proposed signs will be installed near the entrances to the various garages or various driveways leading to the garages throughout the Glendale Galleria Shopping Mall. 4 findings of fact need to be made in order to grant the variances. Staff does believe that findings can be made and recommends approval of the request with conditions. I'll just quickly go over the findings. The first finding that I believe can be made is that strictly applying the sign regulations in the present case would result in an unnecessary hardship inconsistent with the general purpose and intent of the ordinance, because the Glendale Galleria is a unique commercial entity in the city. Unlike most commercial and retail centers, this mall draws a significant amount of patrons from the Southern California region, not just the immediate Glendale area. Commercial sign regulations were developed with locals serving commercial districts in mind, mostly pedestrian shopping streets, as well as sort of automobile-oriented commercial streets, strip centers, that sort of thing. So the Galleria really is an entity for which the sign regulations aren't really designed to meet, because the Galleria serves many who aren't really familiar with Glendale. The intent of the sign code is to create a more attractive business climate, enhance and protect the physical appearance of the community, and promote and protect the public health, safety, and convenience. The signs proposed comply with the intent of the city sign regulations, and I've detailed that more in the staff report and the findings. I'm just summarizing it here. There are exceptional circumstances to the condition, or there are substantial circumstances or conditions applicable to the property involved or to the intended use or development of the property that do not generally apply to other property in the same zone or neighborhood, which warrant granting the requested variances because, similarly to the last findings, the Glendale Galleria is a large, traditionally designed enclosed shopping mall and unique to the city. As previously mentioned, the sign regulations were developed for the more common pedestrian shopping streets or commercial strip centers. In 2011, the City Council approved variances from certain sign regulations at the Galleria, including sign size and thickness, and to allow installation of projecting signs which were not adjacent to the business. And those 3 variances are also requested currently. The vast nature of the Glendale Galleria requires significantly sized parking garages. The large garages are the exceptional circumstance that warrant allowing deviations in size and thickness standards and animation on the projecting and informational signs to better direct customers to available parking. The third finding, that the granting of the variance for sign size, height, thickness, and animation, and to allow projecting signs not adjacent to a business, will not be materially detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the Glendale Galleria property, because the proposed signs will assist both local and regional customers to enter the parking garages and to find available parking. The signs are compatible in size and number with the scale of the shopping center and its long street frontage, and the proposed signs will not result in sign clutter. The Glendale Galleria contains about 1.5 million square feet of retail, restaurant, entertainment, and office use. It is located within several city blocks, and its parking garages have many entrances. The purpose of these signs is to benefit the public welfare. The city's Traffic and Transportation Division has reviewed the signs and is satisfied that none of the signs will interfere with motorists or pedestrian view of any traffic signals. And then the final finding is that the granting of the variance will not be contrary to the objectives of the ordinance because the proposed signs enhance the safety and business climate in the area, preserve and protect commercial property values in the area, and encourage the most appropriate use of the land at this site. The directional information and projecting signs are not particularly commercial in nature, but rather will direct patrons to the Galleria parking garages and within them, and state the availability of parking spaces within the garages. The sizes and heights of the signs are appropriate for the uniqueness of the Glendale Galleria and are in proportion to the large shopping center. While the projecting and informational signs contain animation, they're really more for information, and they won't distract nearby drivers. They'll provide information on the number and whereabouts of the vacant parking spaces. So again, staff supports granting the variance with the draft findings and conditions, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Casel. This time I'm going to open the public hearing, and we will hear from the applicant first. Mr. B.J. Letourneau, please. And remember to state your name and address for the record.
Hey, how are you doing today? My name is B.J. Letourneau. My address is 5003 Hunter Lane, Phoenix City, Alabama, 36867. Just want to state that we've done several of these projects in many major cities in the U.S. Been very successful working with the parking system that we're using with the LED modules. But as Roger stated, that these signs are for public safety, public health. Directing traffic, getting your flow of traffic in and out of the garage. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been there. It can be a bit of a cluster sometimes. So it's really for the beneficial of the public to get these. But in the findings, the 10 of these signs, the code is to create more attractive business climate for the Galleria, enhance and protect the physical appearance of the community. These are very discreet signs, nothing large, nothing outlandish. To promote and protect health and safety of communities, like I said before. The Galleria is an entire entity of the city. Sign regulations not designed because of the city's service. Many who may not be familiar with the Glendale area, coming from surrounding cities, might not know. With the branding they have on the building now, there's not a whole lot of. You don't know exactly where you're at. I think with these new signs, the public will know, from outside cities will know where they're going, what garage they're going to be in, what areas they're going to be in the mall. These signs also could help out the walking pedestrians in the city. They also, they give you a level identifier so people know exactly where they're at. Besides the spot numbers, the parking spot numbers, you also have color coding and stuff and new stuff in the garage to help all pedestrians, not just drivers. The directional signs announce the garage entrance, and they also announce the number of spots in each level. Like I said before, also helps with the traffic flow coming in and off the city streets, protects pedestrians, protects drivers, things of that nature. The Glendale Galleria property, because of purpose of signs, will not assist both local and regional customers to entire parking garages to find available parking spaces and compatible in size and number of the scale of the shopping mall. It has long street frontages and will not result in clutter. The code as of written right now is not directed towards the Galleria. It's directed toward more strip malls, things of that sort. So with the large space that the Galleria has, we are finding that the signage we're proposing is adequate for the Galleria. The directional, informational, and projecting signs proposed are not particularly commercial in nature. Yes, they do have branding. Some of them do have branding of the Galleria on them, but they're not made to boast the fact that the Galleria is there. They're more just for the public to come in and come out. They're there to make an appearance for the public to know that that's an entrance and this is the counts and things of that nature. The size and the heights of the signs are appropriate for the uniqueness of the Galleria in proportion to this large shopping regional center. So, as I said, I think that the signs that we're proposing are what is required, what should be required for the Galleria. I don't think it's too outlandish of what we're requesting. So, thank you. I'm done.
Matt Campbell.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Matthew Campbell. I live in 205 Point South Lane, Lexington, South Carolina. I'm the designer of this project, and I appreciate everybody's time this morning to discuss the variance and the request. And basically, kind of like what BJ and Roger are saying, really the main goal of this new signage program at the mall is to really identify both garages as an A and B, and help drivers and pedestrians figure out where the best place to park is at. The variances that we are requesting, I think, as everyone has stated, do not necessarily directly apply to Glendale Galleria. They're written, it's kind of a unique situation, and that's kind of how we feel about it. So, is there any other questions?
I had some questions, either for you or for BJ. You guys can decide how you want to do it. A question regarding the number 3 request about the thickness of the projecting signs.
Yes.
The request is for 27 inches thick. Is there a reason why it's so thick?
That particular sign, it was originally designed at 18 inches thick, which is a little bit larger than the variance than the code allows for. But when we got the engineering back, the plate size to do all the bolts and attachment to the wall that wants to be covered up to keep it attractive for the sign width had to increase to cover up those plates to the wall attachment.
So it's a structural and also a design aspect to cover up the plate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have detailed drawings of that if you'd like to look at it.
The thickness, the 27-inch thickness is for the one sign that's proposed at, I think, 145 square feet, so it's significantly larger than the other projecting signs. But it's also consistent with in 2000 and it may have been 11. I thought it was like roughly 2013 where they proposed a number of projecting signs that were around 100 square feet, 140 square feet, and the thickness was similar to what they're requesting now.
For this particular sign?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. All right.
And the thickness also has to do with a little bit the actual Park Assist modules that we're embedding into. That's a product from Park Assist. And so the depth of those with the cabling and all that stuff is about 6 inches on each side. So that can kind of explain the depth on the other 5 projecting signs.
Next question, I was going through the plans and your scoreboard signs.
Yes.
I've noticed that on page 4 of the plans, for example, it just shows one of the elevations of the scoreboard signs. And then I noticed on some of the other ones there was some text that said spaces available. I think it's kind of unclear what the numbers are representing next to your levels, unless you have something on there that says spaces available. Was that something that was thought about in terms of including on each of those scoreboard signs, or just to make it clear as to what those numbers are representing?
That's something
You can talk into the mic.
That's something we can think about including, yes. I think that
you had it on some of your other drawings, I noticed.
Yeah, and I think those were mainly to kind of help as people were driving around the mall to basically make them aware of how many spaces were available at that entrance.
Right.
And the scoreboards are kind of a little bit more, even though they're outside the garage, but they're very adjacent to the entrances, they're more indicating of how many spaces are on each level.
Right.
But I do take your point.
Just sort of a point of clarification for those that are driving, wondering what those numbers are representing.
Yeah,
maybe adding that as a clarification might be useful.
And I think on the A garage we could accommodate that. There's some scoreboards that are interior B garage, but some height restrictions there, but since you're already inside the garage, it's makes a little bit more sense once you're inside the garage. But we do have space available there. We could add that wording if the city would like that.
Okay. And then a question from the inside. It looks like everything you're proposing makes sense. But if I'm walking around the mall, and malls are easy to get lost in, are there going to be signs there as well directing where garage A is or where garage B is, like entrances to those?
Yes, part of the program also is to deal with a limited number of wayfinding signs on the interior of the mall directing people to the A garage and the B
Or
garage.
B. Okay. All right, my last question, and I guess it's rhetorical, but I'll ask it anyways. The animated signs, is it strictly just going to be the number of available parking spaces?
Yes, it's just the
It's
number.
not going to be any like LED advertisements or anything like that for businesses inside the mall or the gallery or anything like
No,
that?
sir. It's going to be just the parking counts.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak on this particular case? Okay. BJ, can I have you come back up, please? I have two conditions to the five that were proposed by staff. One I would like to add that a revised sign program be submitted, sort of one of our standard conditions. And then the second condition would be that all scoreboard signs to have available spaces may be at the bottom, just for clarity's sake. I saw it on some of your elevations.
Okay.
And then I think it would be useful to maybe just put it somewhere at the bottom so it's clear.
Yes, sir.
So is that something that would be
Yeah, we could definitely.
Workable?
Definitely, that should be fine.
okay?
No issue.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
All right. At this point, I'm going to close the public hearing. Based on the findings recommended by staff, the facts and information presented here today at the hearing, and other input from applicable departments, I'm going to approve the subject variances with the two conditions that will be added, that a revised sign program will be submitted, and second, that all scoreboard signs to have the text available spaces placed on there for clarity. After the hearing, the decision will be prepared in writing and will be in the form of a letter sent to the applicant and to all persons who have responded to the public notice, either by speaking at this hearing or by submitting written responses or provided their name and mailing address. The date of the decision will be the date appearing on the letter. As it relates to appeals, under the appeals provisions, Title 30, Chapter 30.62 of the Glendale Municipal Code, the decision may be appealed to the Planning Commission within 15 days of the date of the decision. Anyone wishing to appeal may obtain forms and brochures on the procedures from Building and Safety Section, Permit Service Center, is located on the same floor here of this building. The hearing is now closed. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. It is 10:07, and thank you all very much.